I'd like to invite you to join me today at the table. You know, tables represent a lot of things in American society, and we all spend hours of our life sitting at tables and often sharing that time with others. For many, tables are a representation of mealtime, family dinners around the table where spouses and parents and children share the journeys of that day. For others, it's time around a table at their local favorite Italian spot with friends. And for others, it's a quiet table in the corner of an apartment where someone typically cooks and eats alone. Tables are also a representation of business, big business, and corporate boardrooms around America where billion-dollar mergers and acquisitions occur. The table is often the place where that business happens. Or it's the table of an entrepreneur where he or she writes and rewrites their business plan every night for a year. And for thousands of years, the table has represented something done by millions upon millions each week: communion. Jesus asked his followers to do this in remembrance of him as he sat around the table and broke bread and shared wine, and thousands of years later, his followers continue to do the same. And in a moment in history where there is such a focus on how we can all live life together and love each other well despite our differences, I'd suggest that our tables may tell a lot about the communities that we live in. Our tables will tell us the relationships that we invest our time in based on who we break bread with and share meals with. Our tables will tell us about the business dealings we have based on who we trust in our business affairs by who we work with at tables. Our tables will tell a lot about our faith communities and who we worship with as we sing songs like "Red and Yellow, Black and White, they are precious in His sight." But there's another thing that a table can represent that I'd like to present to you today. It's a table that's been around since the 6th century, and it's a table that you're seeing more and more in the Chattanooga area. It's a table that has no age barriers, no race barriers, no shame barriers, no socioeconomic barriers, no educational barriers. All are welcome at this table. All are equal at this table. And you sit down with a handshake and you stand up with a handshake. It's a beautiful table. And I wish that every representation of tables could look just like this. I personally remember the very first time I sat down at this table. An older gentleman from our church, a retired firefighter with 2 huge Dalmatians, and invited me over one day. Mr. Gordon was his name. And as I entered his house, the table was prepared. I could see it in the corner, and I walked over and had my eyes fixed on what was in front of me. And on the table was a board with 64 squares, 8 squares across, 8 squares up and down. Now, about half of these squares were pieces that looked a little foreign to me. At that time, I didn't know what this game was. I didn't know what it represented, and I had no clue the impact that it was going to have on me. But I'll never forget the first day that I sat at the table and was introduced to the game of chess. Now, chess has its beginnings over 1,500 years ago, but the way that we play today and the formalization of the pieces came around the 19th century. It's a game of rooks, and knights, and bishops, and pawns, and of course the king and the queen. It's a game of strategy, a game of offense and defense. And hey, do a quick Google search about how many people play chess today, and you'll see it's a very small number of 605 million people. But why are we talking about chess in a TED Talk focused on Chattanooga? Well, let me take you back to that day in 5th grade when I was introduced to the game. As coincidence would have it, my elementary school in East Nashville, Rosebank Elementary, was introducing a chess club the very same year that Mr. Gordon was teaching me the game. And we weren't just a club. I mean, we were playing in tournaments, and we were playing well. And in fact, here's a picture of the 1992 Rosebank Elementary team at the national championships. That's me rocking the turtleneck, and Nathaniel and Vernon, and that was our team. Now, Rosebank ended at 6th grade, so I had to transfer to a middle high school that didn't have a chess club. And of course, that means I had to get one started. And for the rest of my schooling career, we only went to one more national championship, but we were always competitive in the state of Tennessee. But during high school, I was introduced to something new. I started playing in open chess tournaments instead of just scholastic ones through the schools. And as I sat at the table in these new environments, I started sitting across from people of all ages, both younger and older, of all backgrounds, of all personality types. And again, as we sat at the table, we were all equal. We started the game with a handshake, and we ended the game with a handshake. Now, I'll be honest, I had no clue at the time the impact that this game was having on me. And in fact, I didn't really realize it until January of 2019, almost 20 years after I graduated from high school. My wife and I moved from Florida back to Chattanooga, and we were looking at ways that we could get invested in the community. And I saw an Instagram post of a friend of mine saying that there was a chess team at a new charter boys school called Chattanooga Prep. In that moment, the memories came flooding back to my mind of my childhood, and I knew I had to get involved so that these kids could have the same journey that I did. And as I got involved, I started realizing the impact that this game had had on my professional career, my academic career, my personal life, and I knew I had to help others have that journey. And as I got involved, I looked around Chattanooga and I saw the impact it was starting to have on our city. And so today there's two paths that I want to take us down. First of all, I want us to look at the impact of chess on kids. And then secondly, I want to look at the growing revolution of chess in Chattanooga. And I'll bring those two paths together. My challenge for you is going to be to introduce this game to the kids that you influence in Chattanooga. So let's talk about kids and chess. Now, my wife and I don't have kids, but I am a former kid myself. And the question people always ask is, do smart kids play chess, or does chess make kids smart? Now, there are many different studies out there that look into this question, but there's three of them that I want to highlight. And I believe that this game can have a positive impact on the reading and comprehension skills, the math skills, the strategic thinking capabilities on anyone that plays this game, but especially it can have this impact on kids. I know it had that impact on me. So let's start with a study in Alabama. PhDs from the University of Alabama and Tennessee Tech University conducted a multi-year study where they took one control group of 800 students that played chess 1 to 2 hours a week, and then they had a second control group of students that didn't play chess. And each year they conducted examinations of the participants in multiple areas to see where improvements had been made, and they can compare the two groups. Now here's two quotes from that study. For the 21st century skills measurement, when comparisons with the control group were possible, the study reported that students exposed to chess were, on average, consistently rated by their teachers as having made improvements. And then secondly, chess instruction had the most presumed effect on 5 constructs: overall engagement, critical thinking, strategic thinking, systems thinking, and problem solving. Okay, let's look at a second report. Dr. David Poston from the Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico conducted a study of over 800 students and found that students who participated in chess club received a 7% yearly boost to their math scores compared to students that didn't play. Now watch this. Students who participated in United States Chess Federation tournaments enjoyed a 28% boost to math scores and a 10% boost to reading scores. Basically, the more chess a student played, the better they performed academically. And third, let's look at a country that's buying into these studies. Armenia is making chess mandatory in all schools beginning at age 6. Now, chess is certainly a national obsession in Armenia, but Armenian authorities say teaching chess in school is not about building chess champions, it's about building character. They see it as a social gateway, something that people of all ages, all physical makeups, all social statuses, that they can bond over. And the education minister of Armenia says that taking the pastime of chess into classrooms will help nurture a sense of responsibility and organization among school children. Now, if you aren't the biggest fan of going back and reading studies and looking through statistics, let me encourage you to watch on the big screen some of the real-life stories of the impact of chess on kids. First, you got to watch The Queen of Katwe. It's about a 10-year-old girl named Fiona living in the slum of Katwe in Uganda. And she meets a missionary who teaches kids how to play chess. And Fiona becomes fascinated with the game. She soon becomes a top player in her country, and her success opens the door to a bright future and the chance to escape from a life of poverty. Then there's the famous movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. It's about a 7-year-old named Josh Waitzkin. He beats his dad in chess at a match at home. He starts playing speed chess in the local park and soon gets noticed for his talent at such a young age. He goes on to become a national champion. And the real Josh Waitzkin has a wonderful book called The Art of Learning, where he talks about his chess journey as a kid. Or you could watch the documentary called Brooklyn Castle. It's about an inner-city public school in Brooklyn that has an after-school chess program that has such great support from the educators and the community. This school program has built the most winning chess team in the United States. And in the documentary follows 5 of the school's members for 1 year and documents their challenges and their triumphs both on and off the chessboard. And last, my favorite movie, Life of a King. It's the story of an ex-con played by Cuba Gooding Jr., determined to help at-risk kids avoid the mistakes that he made. And after picking up the game in prison, he forms a chess club for inner-city teenagers at a Washington, D.C. high school. And it's the real-life story of the Big Chair Chess Club founded by Eugene Brown in 2002 that still exists to this day. So, these are the studies and these are the stories you can go explore about other people in other places. But now let me tell you what's happening right here in Chattanooga. First, let me introduce you to Chess Ninja. Thomas Lane moved to Chattanooga in 2016, and he had a vision of a chess movement in elementary schools across our city. Coach T, as his students call him, has a special gift of communication with kids, and he has a great ability to make this game easy to learn for people of all ages. And Chess Ninja is now in 15 schools across Chattanooga. And then a couple years later, a community program called Kingship Chess Academy was started by Anthony Gladden in 2019. And if you've ever met Anthony, you know he is passionate about bringing this game to kids. And the mission of Kingship is simply this: to help children living in Chattanooga reach their full potential by teaching them this game. And you can find Kingship Chess Academy in pop-up events and group lessons in recreation centers across Chattanooga. Now, if you've been around chess in our city very long, you've heard the name Ray Hayes. He was instrumental in chess in this city starting in the 90s, and there's even an annual tournament named after him. And so in the summer of 2019, I played in the Ray Hayes Memorial Tournament. It was my first chess tournament in 16 years. And it was here that I realized how strong the tournament scene was in Chattanooga, both for adult and scholastic players. And throughout 2019, I attended multiple tournaments, and it was just a beautiful scene walking into rooms full of enthusiasm with people from all different walks of life. But there's more. A chess brand is being launched this month in Chattanooga called E4 Chess Brand. E4 is the first move of many chess matches. And while there are millions of chess players in the world, there's no brand that unifies them. And so Chattanooga will be home of the brand that hopefully does that. And to top it off, word of this growing chess community in Chattanooga made its way to arguably the most well-known chess player in the United States, Maurice Ashley. Maurice lives in Brooklyn, and he was the first African-American chess grandmaster in the U.S. And guess what? Last year, he heard about everything going on in Chattanooga, and he had to come check it out. And he came down here and played chess with some of our local kids. I tell you about the studies and the stories of chess in other places, but a revolution is happening here in Chattanooga, and it's a beautiful thing. And now as you walk around Chattanooga in the coming weeks, keep your eyes out for a new table in town. Well, it's a table that's been around hundreds and hundreds of years, but it's finally taking over our city. You'll find this table in schools, in homes, in the YMCA, in Hutton and Smith, in Mad Priest, in Miller Plaza, and all throughout our city. It's a table where all are welcome, where all are equal. It's a table where you sit down, you shake hands, and when you stand up, you shake hands. It's a table that empowers and brings confidence to all who play. My challenge to you is this: is there a child in your life that you want to introduce to this table? that you think can benefit from learning this great game? A child that you want to find great success in strategic thinking and in math and in reading and in problem solving? If so, Chattanooga has become a city with many opportunities for children to learn chess. They just need someone to introduce them to it, just like Mr. Gordon did for me back in the 5th grade. Thanks for spending time with me today at the table.